Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. How Yellowstone's Dutton family came from Sons of Anarchy explained. Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western drama Yellowstone helped to revitalize the Western genre in television, but it has its roots in another neo-Western that isn't always recognized as such, Sons of Anarchy. Starring Kevin Costner and a talented ensemble cast, Yellowstone became a runaway success thanks to its potent mix of drama, action, and an intoxicating Western setting. While the cowboys, rural setting, and gunfights certainly conjure classic Western vibes, the political maneuvering and corporate espionage ring of more modern dramatic fare, which is part of why Yellowstone's audience demographics are so varied and diverse. While Yellowstone has its own trademark aesthetic and lingo, creator Taylor Sheridan does draw on some of the best TV dramas of the last 30 years, which is a credit to him as a showrunner. The parallels between Yellowstone and FX's crime drama Sons of Anarchy, for example, are plentiful. The similarities are so abundant that Yellowstone has been referred to as Sons of Anarchy on horses in certain circles of the internet. Taylor Sheridan is one of TV's most talented and unique dramatic writers, to be sure, and the influence of Sons of Anarchy on Yellowstone is clear. Years before he put pen to paper on Yellowstone, Taylor Sheridan was a working TV actor who had a number of smaller roles to his name before Sons of Anarchy debuted in 2008. The award-winning family drama was set against the backdrop of an oftentimes violent motorcycle club's struggle to accumulate power, wealth, freedom, and revenge, although not necessarily in that order. Taylor Sheridan portrayed Deputy Sheriff David Hale for the first 3 seasons of the show, the straight-edge enforcer of the law and frenemy of the Sons of Anarchy motorcycle club. Sheridan's time in the main cast came to an end when his character was unceremoniously killed in a drive-by, which was reportedly forced as a result of a salary dispute, which saw Sheridan leave the show, although SOA's creator Kurt Sutter has said Hale was killed because Sheridan wanted to pursue another project. While it was never directly addressed by Sheridan, many Yellowstone fans acknowledge that the Season 3 episode, Going Back to Cali, which sees John Dutton and the Yellowstone Cowboys tangle with a biker gang from California, was a reference to Sheridan's bitter exit from Sons of Anarchy. In addition to the biker call-out in Yellowstone, there are a few other notable crossovers between the two shows. For example, Sheridan has used a few cast members from Sons of Anarchy in the ever-expanding cast of the growing Yellowstone universe. One of the most prominent is Koryanka Kilcher, the New World, who starred in Yellowstone as the vengeful litigator and business consultant Angela Blue Thunder more than a decade after playing Chiv's daughter, Carrie Ann Telford, in Season 3 of Sons of Anarchy. Screen legend Robert Patrick, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, makes appearances in both Sons of Anarchy and the Yellowstone spin-off 1923. He plays the president of the Sons of Anarchy San Bernardino chapter, Le Packer, and in 1923 Patrick portrays Sheriff William McDowell. LaMonica Garrett also features in both universes. He somewhat ironically plays David Hale's replacement, Deputy Sheriff Kane, in Sons of Anarchy, while he played Pinkerton Agent Thomas in Yellowstone's spin-off 1883. To most, Sons of Anarchy is considered a crime drama, more in line with gangster movies and television than a Western. However, in exploring the themes of the show, many of the hallmarks of a Western emerge. The members of SAMCRO are considered outlaws, a concept born straight out of Old West, and their rebellion against or subversion of the law is a consistent element of the group's activities. Their brand of justice often falls outside the law and certainly fits the definition of the frontier justice of the West, where vengeance was often carried out on a personal level. Most importantly, Sons of Anarchy is framed around the themes of individualism and personal freedom, with the club working to impede the march of progress and change in their hometown. Therein lies its greatest tie to Yellowstone, and why both shows can and should be considered neo-westerns with a genuine overlap in genre. John Dutton and his family work to keep the ranch pristine and preserve their way of life, just as the Sons of Anarchy do. Whether Taylor Sheridan distinctly intended it to or not, Yellowstone is a spiritual successor to Sons of Anarchy in theme if not setting. The world of television drama often surprises fans with unexpected connections, hidden influences, and shared DNA between some of the most iconic series. On the surface, it might seem like Yellowstone's Dutton family, rugged ranchers fighting to preserve their land, has little in common with the gritty, leather-clad bikers of Sons of Anarchy. However, upon closer inspection, one can trace thematic and narrative threads that weave these two seemingly disparate shows together. In this exploration, we'll unpack how Yellowstone's Dutton family draws influence from the outlaw world of Sons of Anarchy, showing that these two universes share more than just a penchant for high-stakes drama. The anti-hero archetype. One of the most striking parallels between Yellowstone and Sons of Anarchy is their reliance on a central anti-hero. In Sons of Anarchy, Jax Teller, played by Charlie Hunnam, embodies a morally complex character who juggles loyalty to his motorcycle club, family, and his vision of a better future. Similarly, Yellowstone's John Dutton, Kevin Costner, operates as the linchpin of his family and their sprawling Montana ranch. Both characters are fiercely protective of their legacies and are willing to blur ethical lines to safeguard what they hold dear. Jax's journey is one of a man wrestling with his father's ideals and the harsh realities of outlaw life, while John Dutton's story is rooted in the generational struggle to maintain control over the Dutton Yellowstone Ranch. Both men's decisions ripple through their respective worlds, shaping the fates of those around them. Their capacity for violence, manipulation, and strategic brilliance underscores their roles as anti-heroes, men we root for despite their flaws. Family as a battleground. Both Yellowstone and Sons of Anarchy place family dynamics at the heart of their narratives. In Sons of Anarchy, the Teller-Morrow family's internal struggles often dictate the club's actions. Jax's relationships with his mother, Gemma, Katie Segal, and stepfather Clay, Ron Perlman, are fraught with betrayal, secrets, and power struggles. Similarly, Yellowstone's Dutton family is rife with tension. John's relationships with his children, Beth, Case, Jamie, and Rip, are complicated by ambition, loyalty, and unresolved trauma. Both families operate as microcosms of their respective worlds. For the Tellers, the motorcycle club is an extension of the family, bound by loyalty and shared purpose. For the Duttons, the ranch represents not just their livelihood but their identity. In both cases, the family is both a source of strength and a battleground where betrayal and redemption play out. The Code of Loyalty. A hallmark of both shows is their exploration of loyalty to family, to a way of life, and to a chosen community. In Sons of Anarchy, the biker club's code demands unwavering loyalty, often at the expense of personal morality. Betrayal within the club is met with brutal consequences as Jax and his crew navigate shifting alliances and internal strife. Yellowstone's Dutton family operates under a similar code. John Dutton demands absolute loyalty from his children and the ranch hands who work for him. Rip Wheeler, Cole Hauser, John's right-hand man, exemplifies this loyalty, serving as both enforcer and protector of the Dutton legacy. The ranch hands, known as the Cowboys, are branded as a symbol of their commitment, echoing the symbolic patches worn by SAMCRO members in Sons of Anarchy. Territorial battles. Both series revolve around territorial disputes and the lengths to which their protagonists will go to protect what's theirs. In Sons of Anarchy, SAMCRO fights to control Charming, California, and its surrounding areas, fending off rival gangs, law enforcement, and corporate interests. Yellowstone's narrative similarly centers on the Dutton family's battle to defend their ranch against developers, tribal nations, and environmentalists. The stakes in both shows are existential. Losing their territory would mean losing their identity. This shared theme underscores the primal connection both series have to their settings, with the land itself becoming a character, a source of conflict, pride, and heritage. Violence as a means to an end. Violence is an inescapable element in both Sons of Anarchy and Yellowstone. In SAMC world, conflicts are often resolved through gunfights, beatdowns, and strategic hits. Similarly, the Duttons and their allies are no strangers to brutal tactics, from orchestrating ambushes to disposing of enemies in the train station, a metaphorical dumping ground for those who cross the family. While the motivations for violence differ, SAMC's actions are often tied to criminal enterprises, whereas the Duttons are rooted in survival and preservation. Both shows depict a world where might often makes right. The protagonists' willingness to get their hands dirty reinforces their status as flawed heroes navigating morally gray worlds.